Angela Roman joining us now. Angela running for Congress in Oregon's 5th District. Oregon, it's kind of gone crazy. In fact, we just played baseball at the World Series in, the 2023 High School Graduate World Series in, where were we, Kara? Orlando, Florida. That's right. We were in Orlando, or Sanford, actually. And it was 32 of the best teams in the country. One of the teams we played was the Northwest something, and they came from Oregon or Washington State, and they were, a couple of the parents I was talking to, like, couldn't believe what was going on in Oregon. They're like, I don't know what happened to my state, but it's like gone like crazy land. And trying to figure this out. Angela Roman, she's running for Congress in Oregon's 5th District. Angela, great to have you.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
Okay, are you talking into a speaker, or do you have a regular phone?
Is that better?
Yeah, you always,
okay.
always want to get us off the speaker. So, Angela, tell me, you're running for Congress as a Republican, 5th District, Oregon. Who represents the district now?
Right now, that would be the 11-year Democrat incumbent, Kurt Schrader.
Okay, Kurt Schrader. Now, why has Oregon gone crazy? I mean, you elect a governor that's she said she's bisexual, and you're passing all these crazy laws. Didn't they just pass something where they gave illegals driver's license and overstepped the amendment process that had already been defeated in an amendment, and you guys just went ahead and did it anyway? What is going on there in Oregon?
Correct. I do have to make a little correction, though. Me and a majority of people didn't vote for her, and we did not vote for legals to have driver's license. As a matter of fact, over 80% of our citizens voted against it from all sides of the aisle. What we have is a tyrannical government. We have a tyrannical leader who does not follow the United States Constitution, let alone our own Oregon State Constitution.
So you had a situation in Oregon where giving driver's license to illegal aliens was actually on the ballot, right, as a referendum.
Correct.
And it got
Measure 88.
And when was it?
I cannot be correct on it. I want to say it was 2016.
Yeah, so it was a few years ago, right? That's
yeah.
I think it was 16. And it got beat like 80-20, right? I mean, it got crushed. Right?
Yes,
so,
a lot of bipartisan support.
So Oregonians crushed it, and so the governor just reinstates it without the referendum and goes around the people, and now you become a sanctuary state. And obviously, you've also got, don't you also have like mail-in voter registration, same-day voter registration, all that crazy stuff?
Yes, we do. We absolutely do.
All right.
We also have a governor who passed a tax on its citizens without a 3/5 majority. This is why I didn't choose to run for anything local. Mm-hmm. The only way I feel I can truly help my state, my home state where I was born, is at a national level.
Why do you say that?
I actually worked for the state legislature for a state representative, Mike Neerman, in the conservative side of the House. Mm-hmm. And I've seen 10 times what the public knows.
And so give me an example of some of the things that you've seen that the public doesn't know.
So, for instance, there was a House Bill 3063, and that is the one where it was to include health care for all, including illegal alien children. And before the vote on the House for it, the Democratic side of the House printed out a one-pager and put it on all of the conservatives' desks, basically stating that if they voted against their bill, that they would be deemed racist in the media. They would make sure that there was quotations and notes in their voting record that they were racist. There's a lot of bullying tactics that go on inside there. It's kind of like what we see on the front lines up there in Portland, but political style.
Unbelievable. So what inspired you to run for Congress after all this?
I'm a single mom of 3 boys, and the continued push of the far, far left indoctrination in the schools, the political climate over here. My children are half Mexican, half American, And, I've had my life threatened. I was the co-organizer for the March for Trump in Lake Oswego over here in Oregon that set off the Patriot prayers and all of this stuff. So I've been dealing with it a little longer. And it's a scary world when a mother of mixed kids can get threatened that she's a Nazi and have, the death threats, the stalking, the harassment.
Because you're for Trump.
Correct.
See, this is amazing.
And I don't falter on that. I'm a strong woman. I've been on the front lines with Antifa, face-to-face to in the legislature.
So Antifa goes to the State House and harasses?
Oh, yeah. They show up to protest any chance that they get. We tried to put together, we did successfully, we were putting together an event to feed the homeless. And they created a counter event to come protest us because they said the only reason we were doing it was to push our white nationalist agenda on the homeless.
I mean, it's disturbing to hear what you're saying. A lot of us have heard about this, but like the media is nowhere to be found. The lying legacy fake news media can't find them on this. But here you are, Angela Roman. You happen to support President Trump. You just said you're a single mother of 3 with your children, have a Mexican father, so they're half Caucasian, half Mexican. And you've been harassed, you've been threatened, you've been browbeat, you've been physically at risk, and so have your children because you support President Trump in Oregon. I mean,
Correct.
a lot of people that are not dealing with that, like I have people in the South, I'm on here in the Mid-Atlantic in Washington, D.C. Yeah, they don't walk around with Trump hats or Trump stickers because they don't want their car to be keyed or they don't want to get ridiculed on social media or in a Publix or in a Walmart. But you've actually experienced real-life death threats and harassment simply because of who you choose to back for who happens to be the president. I mean, that's
correct.
Think about what Angela's saying here. This is what is going on in America, and the fake news won't report it. Could you imagine if Angela was a Democrat for, I don't know, pick a candidate, Kamala Harris, and she was getting harassed in this matter? This would be all over the nightly news. NPR would have it as its headline. CNN would have it scrolling on the bottom 24 hours a day, right?
Yep, absolutely.
New York Times would have a Sunday op-ed on it.
We're being segregated over here. If you are a conservative in Oregon, you are being segregated. This is 2019.
What do you mean by segregated? Like what do you mean by that?
If you make a Make America Great Again hat, if you have one on and you visit anywhere pretty much in Portland, you'll be screamed at, harassed, spit on, kicked out of places.
Really? So
yes.
If I put my Trump hat on and I went to Portland, Oregon, and I just went downtown and I went to the luncheonette, what would happen to me?
You would be harassed. Antifa, Rose City Antifa would put a tweet out and there would be a protest coming your way instantly.
Like they take a picture of me with my hat on, tweet it out, and there would be an organic protest outside of the diner that I was having my hamburger at.
Correct.
And then it would get the diner owners to throw me out.
Yep.
And then what? Take my hat, burn it?
Yeah.
What would happen?
Oh yeah. They throw M80s, balloons full of urine. They're fascist. They scream that they're anti-fascists in the street, but I mean, they clearly have shown that for the example that I gave you about us feeding the homeless. And, I believe in the Constitution and the First Amendment. And these people put their little masks on like cowards and approach people and try to silence and use of threats and violence to suppress their freedom of speech on American soil. It scares me. I don't want that kind of world left for my children. They are deranged.
What do the police do?
They don't do anything.
They stand down?
the Portland police are leaving in droves. So much to the point that they just released that they're lowering their standards for hiring. They will start hiring officers with tattoos now, which I think is great. You shouldn't discriminate against someone because they have a tattoo. It doesn't have anything to do with their capabilities in their field.
I agree.
However, instead of the mayor and the officials getting everything under control, they just weaken the law, and they weaken everything to fit their agenda.
It's unbelievable. So if I was there and I was being harassed, somebody sends a tweet out with my picture, they go in, I get thrown out of the diner so I don't get to eat, and then they take my hat, they set it on fire, they start throwing balloons with yarn at me, and I call 911 or I call the police. What happens? They just stand down?
A majority of the time they do.
Just stand down. Just stand there and let me get beat up.
Correct. So much to the point that rallies that have been organized for marches, for instance, if we're set to march at a certain time and Antifa and Black Bloc and all them have shown up and they are blocking our permitted march, nothing gets done. We, the Patriots, get rerouted. And they come out in full riot gear, ready to protect, but they stand down.
So the police are ready, but there's a standing order for them to just not get involved with Antifa. You'd think they would just go and round the whole 50 people up and put them in a paddy wagon.
Correct. Nope, they go around and they round up patriots, put them in paddy wagons to get them out for safety.
So this is why you're running for Congress. So you're actually experiencing this in Portland. We've heard about it, but until you really get to somebody like yourself who comes on the air, national radio, and talks about it, no one really knows what you guys are going through.
That's just a small part of it. The main thing about it, I'm not a politician. I never claimed to be one. I'm not PC. I'm definitely a campaign to reckon with for that reason. I'm getting people on all sides of the aisles that the key word that everyone seems to use is refreshing. They're refreshed when I have a conversation with them, no matter what side of the aisle they're on. And we have to restore this government back to we the people for the people. I don't remember anywhere in the Constitution where it says the only reason you can run is if you wear a suit and you're perfect, So we need to be we the people for the people, not we the people for the politicians, because that's how it's been going. There's no transparency. There's a lot of backdoor deals at the cost of the citizens and our Constitution.
Why is this happening in Oregon?
I'm sorry?
Why Oregon? Reagan carried Oregon in 1984 over Mondale, right? Nixon carried it. It's been carried by Republicans in the past. And you had a Republican senator there. I can't think of his name, not too far. You had Bob Packwood with all his issues. He was from there. But why Oregon?
We are being infiltrated with the far left. They call themselves progressive, but I say regressive. They are flooding the West Coast. Our cost of living is increasing. The homeless situation is out of control. Our own governor shuts down mental health facilities and drug and alcohol facilities when that is one of the most vital things that we need. I watched the governor snuff Sergeant Petrie. He is a Medal of Honor Purple Heart recipient who travels the nation to advocate for veterans on their behalf and the vital services that they need. Well, he had asked for 5 minutes to meet with the governor, and they had told him that she didn't have time to meet with him, which was a lie, because I was there, and so was she. That same day, in the basement, her and the Attorney General were introducing their bill that provides privacy and protections for illegal aliens when they're applying for state services.
Unbelievable.
Meanwhile, Oregon is one of the highest top 2 states of veteran suicide.
So the hell with the veterans. Let's protect the illegals
Yeah.
in order to get more votes. so they can stay in power. I mean, that's basically it. The veterans are not going to vote for them. The illegals are, because they have penny card registration, same-day registration, mail-in ballots. It's the easiest state to vote in, so they get the illegals to vote for them, and so they stay in power. And
they've gone beyond that. Kate Brown passed to where 16-year-olds can now register to vote. They can't technically vote till the age of 18 still, but they're handing these registration cards out to these 16-year-olds, and they're doing it in the high schools.
So they're getting them to register to vote, but of course there's no ID, so they can go vote at 17. No one knows.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. I don't know what is going on because it's a gorgeous state. I mean, I've been there several times. It's, the Pacific Northwest is beautiful, and it's a gorgeous state, but I don't know what is happening. And your governor, Kate Brown, super liberal. Now she's married and a bisexual, right?
Correct.
How does that work?
To each their own. The fact that she's bisexual doesn't even bother me at all. It's the fact that she uses taxpayer time on the agenda and encourages ridiculous policies that encourage, transgenderism and homosexuality in the schools.
It's like you're in a foreign.
Sick. It's evil.
It's like you're in a foreign country.
Yeah, it's the Twilight Zone. And my state, you're correct, is one of the most beautiful states in the country. We've got the coast. We've got mountainous ranges.
That's
we've
beautiful.
got high desert. We've got big cities. We've got beautiful rural areas.
The last time I was there, I had a meeting in Portland. When I was in the newspaper business, but I took the Amtrak Starlight. Get this, from Los Angeles up the coast to Seattle, and I'm sorry, my meeting was in Seattle. It was took a weekend, and the big part of that train is it goes through the whole state of Oregon, starts with the coast, and then obviously goes into the mountainous area. And we did that. That ride was on the Sunday afternoon where you were not asleep. And I just remember sitting there for 12 hours looking out the window saying, this got to be the most gorgeous state in America. I mean, it's beautiful. Rivers and forests. And by the way, if anybody's never done that, that is the best Amtrak 2-day ride you'll ever do. I had a meeting on Monday.
It's on my bucket list.
you got to do it. I had a meeting in Seattle on Monday. I'm almost out of time, but I'll tell the story. I had a meeting on Monday at 9, and I was in L.A. at the time. So I just went. I went from L.A. to Seattle, took Saturday 8 a.m., got there Monday at 6 a.m., and or 7 in time for my meeting. But that was one of the most gorgeous 2-day rides I've ever had. So you need to do that, Angela. But first you got to get elected to Congress. More information.
Yes, and that is going to happen if people could visit my website and share my name, get the name out there. It's AngelaRomanForCongress.com. We have a Twitter, obviously, and on my Facebook, I recommend I'm more interactive with people. I go live, and I respond to the people. I'm not your typical politician. Like I said, I have meetings throughout the week, numerous times, just meeting up with people that want to talk to me. I have an open door policy. If you want to call me up and yell at me, I'll call you back so you can do that.
I got to go.
But then we're going to sit down and find a solution.
AngelaRomanForCongress.com.